Pounders, we're back, and we're doing the 101 Dalmatian, this time a 3-max entry after the first tournament. If you guys did that one, it was slow draft only, and that was a single entry. I am loving these different style tournaments that Underdog is coming out with. I don't know if anyone got into the $10 one today, but I think that's a good chance to just go unique start, or someone at the end like Zamir White with the uncertainty with Josh Jacobs. I think that is super interesting, where it fills so fast that if you go like Eric Gray at the end with the Giants uncertainty with Barkley, stuff like that is, I think, can give you an edge in these tournaments. But let's pull up the Dalmatian 2. And this is a 3,200 person tournament, which means there are going to be 272 CMC teams, cup teams, you name it, 272 only. So it's a smaller field tournament, which you have to keep in the back of your mind. 12-person start, and after the first 14 weeks, the top 4 are going to move on to week 15. Right away, we're already bringing that upside that we're shooting for BBM, which is 670,000 people, and the puppies, 200,000 plus. You don't need as high of upside, right? We're trying to advance as many good teams as possible. And in my opinion, I have my week 17 games that I'm going to target with these 3 single entries that we have for the Dalmatian 101. After week 15, you make it in, you're put into an 8-person group, and 3 move on. That's awesome. That's a really high advance rate. After week 15, you go into 16. After 16, you're regrouped again if you make it on with another 7 other people. So another 8-person group, and 2 move on to the finals, and 102-person final group. Really, really small. So I think if you're targeting those high-scoring games, right, those week 17 matchups that you love, Miami, Baltimore, Detroit, Dallas, KC, Cincinnati, if we're being obvious, maybe the Chargers, Denver. If you're right on a game stack, week 17, it's going to increase your odds. So I'm really focused on my favorite game stacks for these 3 entries that I have. Because if I can push one of those teams forward and we have a better chance to push them forward, we don't need that ultra high upside. And that's what I'm going to try to do. So I'll show you my first entry on a Dalmatian 101. And we filled. We'll bring it up afterwards. We were 12 out of 12. So we'll see who got in here with us. We get the 2 spot. Streamer luck. Fancy Dysfunctional, what's going on? ER7, Nick, Ben, Oleg, Nez, Dennis. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Let's see if anyone is in this draft with us. Kuruk looks familiar. Do me favors, what's going on, my dude? If you're in the live stream, glad he's on the other end of the board. We get the 2 spot here. And I mean, give me Chase, give me Jefferson, and we'll just sort of build around them. This is beautiful. What a start. What a start. I didn't know we already registered. I was the 12 out of 12. If I didn't get 12 out of 12, this probably would have taken a little while, which was fine. You know, we can talk. We would have went over our first Dalmatian lineup, which we targeted very heavily the Dallas-Detroit game. And you know what? Let's pull it up real quick while we're waiting for our next pick, which is light years away at this point. Where is it? Dalmatian. And this was a slow draft only. You weren't allowed to fast draft it. And what I think was interesting is going back to this pick at 34 with ETN on the board. We reach up and we grab our first running back here. And now we see this is when Najee was like ADP 40 and Travis Etienne was around this range, like 34. And we selected Najee before him like 5 weeks ago. It's just sort of, I've been on that train for a little while. And now we see the ADPs start to flip with those 2. I think that's interesting. But we got are Dak, Jared Goof, Lamb, Cooks, Gallup. We have our bring back with Amon-Ra. We have Sam Laporta. So we're really heavily targeting this game in that lineup. And I think that's completely fine to do. Let's pull up the active draft now. Tyreek Hill at 3, Cooper Kupp at 4, CMC at 5 feels good. Stephon Diggs at 6. Nothing crazy just yet. Nothing crazy. Nothing out of the ordinary. If you guys haven't already, drop a like on the live stream. If you want to jump in these live drafts with us, hit the bell for notifications and make sure you join the Discord. Everyone in the comments will tell you how good and valuable the Discord has been. And I just love you guys for just partaking in being a pounder, part of the community, whether it's losing money in the Pick'em channel or adding some tweets from beat reporters in the Risers and Fallers channel. It's all good information. It's all for good fun. AJ Brown at 8. And I've seen a little more with these single entry tournaments. And this is a 3 max, kind of similar. People are going like Mahomes here at 18, at 18, just to lock it in with Kelsey. I get it. But when we have like Josh Allen falling to 30 pretty regularly, I've seen it multiple times in the last day. It makes it just tough because you're losing a full round of value on Mahomes versus Josh Allen. Yes, you want to advance in this room first. That's what your focus is for advance. So maybe that is a little different way to think about it, that if you're just a good drafter, you can beat them on the back end, which is fine. So very interested to see what these people leave us at pick 23. See, do me favors doing Waddle and Adams. Little different start there. Little different start from the Amon-Ra chalk. And actually Robinson, Bijan, still not gone. We see Chubb and Garrett Wilson for the game stack week 17. Think that's interesting. Think that's very interesting. Eckler Amon-Ra is beautiful. My God. My God. Let's go. Paul, what's going on, my man? In the 12 spot, getting a little funky. I don't mind it at all. I don't mind that at all. We'll see if Lamar, I'm curious if you take Lamar, if he makes it back to you at 36. Lamar? Jesus. He's 34. I just think it's so tough to take Lamar now at 34 when you have Josh Allen falling to 29 and 30. So depending on the room, I won't draft Lamar at 34. I would need all 3 QBs off the board, like basically at their ADP, for me to go Lamar there. Just my personal thoughts on the matter. Very room by room basis. Ben with the wrench. What's going on, my dude? What's up, Pat and the Pounders? I'm sad I'm not in this draft. Bri H, we got 2 more, my man. We got 2 more. And let's set this at 30 likes. If we get 30 likes, we'll go ahead and we'll do another one. That should be very easy. That should be very easy to hit. What are you guys going to leave me here? We see CMC paired up with T. Higgins, Diggs and Olave. Barkley goes at 21. So, I mean, I think we just go with the game stack. Cincinnati versus KC. No doubt. No doubt in my mind. Obviously, want one of these QBs to come off the board. Same thing with Stevenson. Derrick Henry versus Houston twice in the playoffs. Let's do it. Pretty balanced build. We'll start off balanced. We'll see where this goes. Lamar Jackson at 27. Definitely wanted the Mark Andrews Lamar stack to go there with Tyreek Hill. I like it. Heavily focusing week 17. Again, 4 move forward. So I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense because if you're a confident drafter where you can get values at the end, I'm not opposed I'm not opposed. It's obviously bad value, all of that, but you could sneak by in the 4 spot. It's going to be pretty hard to get Hill with Andrews and Lamar. Let me shut my window real quick. But we see Josh Allen go at 30 to the Diggs team. That's beautiful. How do you not love that? How do you not love that? Jacobs goes at 31. Smith, Kelsey. DK at 32. CeeDee Lamb, Bijan. Mostly badges in this draft, too. Calvin Ridley. So we're looking at pick 47 and 50. Who do we want to make it back to us? Obviously, we need receivers. Probably double tap receiver here. Worst thing, we might do like receiver and tight end. But I think that is going to be the play. So we do want these QBs to come off the board. We want these running backs to come off the board. Higgins, this Higgins team, this needs to be a Burrow pick. Do me favors is going straight piss. 4 wide receivers in a row, which is pretty common. You see that a lot on the back end of these drafts. And it feels super strong too. Like being on the back end of the draft, getting 2 elite receivers very comfortably. I've been drafting a ton from the back end, so I'm very comfortable back here. And I like these starts a lot. Even this Garrett Wilson Chubb starts. Very interesting. I've only seen one other person do it. So to see someone do it in the Dalmatian 101 is pretty cool. He says, nice job talking the Kelsey drafter out of taking Mahomes. I don't know. I don't think they're in here, to be honest. Blue Dog, if you're in the live stream, give us a shout. Give us a shout. ER7 says, I'm in line at Subway. Any recommendations? I mean, no tomatoes. No tomatoes. Go Italian. Straight Italian, no tomatoes. Please stop selecting receivers. All right, here we go. All right, 46, we called, or 44, we called the Burrow pick to the T. Higgs team. These running backs, please keep selecting running backs. We need 2 receivers here. Hey, no tomatoes. I know. My ancestors are just looking down at me, just shaking their head like you fake Italian. Come on. Oh, this is crazy, man. This is crazy. I am a little worried about Washington in their playoff schedule. With the meatball marinara. All right, Walker off the board. Oh, so much pain, dude. So much pain, dude. Such an ugly spot. Like, I would love to need a running back right here. And I guess we're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to select the fallen ETN, and we're going to hope one of our receivers makes it back to us. The other thing I was thinking here was just going like Terry McLaurin and bringing it back with Ayuk, but I wasn't sure if I was going to get sniped on that plan, and I'd rather just get the falling ETN there. Yeah. And reason for that is value, right? ETN is the best value on the board. when we're talking about advancing, ETN is most likely the best pick there. And now we really have to piss. Here at 71, 74, we're going to have to bring in 2 receivers. And that's fine because I like this range. I'm comfortable in this range. And I know there's no running backs here. So I think that was the right play there. We'll scoop the falling ETN. With falling value, you also get uniqueness. So I'm cool with it. Yeah, this is a good point. I mean, I'm not trying to predict weather here because if it's a 30-degree day, if it's 27 degrees, yes, it's cold. If it's not snowing, if there's no elements, does it really matter? Not really. These guys are practicing in the cold during that time of year. They're used to it. So, and have you ever played like a sport outside when it was freezing out? Takes you a little bit to warm up, but if they get a day that's, -5, it's windy, it's snowing, like, yeah, sure, that's going to affect it. Now, here we see, oh, I love this. The 4 spot goes double elite QB. And right there, that makes our Mahomes pick stronger. That is one less team that can have an elite QB. Beautiful. That's really good for us. It's really good for us, especially if someone else does something funky like that. It just makes our pick even stronger. I'm not picking a QB for probably 10 rounds unless we have a falling value that's stacked, correlated, all that. Sure. So I guess never say never. We're up in 13 picks. We see Mixon go off the board. He's been a riser. And what I posted in the Discord for the Patreon members that have their own channel, we're seeing these elite middle round tight ends fall. So like Hawkinson has fallen 7 picks since the open of the big board, and Kittle has fallen 9 picks. Now I've been sneakily off of them, but now where they're going in their range, now they're becoming some of my favorite clicks. We see do me favors, picking up Kittle here. Correlation with San Fran. We have the Baltimore-Miami game, so gets Dobbins at 60. Really nice. Really nice. I'm expecting him to go Tua with this roster. Yeah. Paulie says, I'm more worried about Washington because Sam Howell seems like he may be good for fantasy, but not for Terry and Dotson. I'd agree to you to some extent. I saw, what stream was it? It might have been Pat Carane's stream with maybe Legendary Upside, where they're talking about Washington's schedule and how they have like a 14 or 15 point average for the playoffs. It's not good, but I think they can still get there. Like, that's still 2 touchdowns, right? Or a touchdown, 2 field goals. That'd be bad. But they have a really low average for the playoffs. I think Brissett can be a fine asset for both those receivers. I'm not too worried about it in Washington. JSN off the board at 65. Burks off the board at 66. Sharp, to be honest. Addison, bye-bye. Lockett, bye-bye. Okay. Yes, I know we have the Mahomes correlation. No, I'm not picking Kadarius Toney here. We do bring in the San Fran Dotson game. I think it's fine. If Dotson gets that 1 touchdown that Washington scores, or maybe they score 2, we still bring in the correlation here. I think Kadarius Toney's, even if he is healthy, when I think about KC, I think about Mahomes, I think about Kelsey's the central offense, and then he spreads the ball after that. So I love this Madison fall, by the way. Completely on board. We see with the reach there. Interesting. Over Trevor Lawrence. This is an interesting spot where I don't want a running back here. I can't go running back. Giants versus Rams. We can go Tony here. I don't love the pick. Like I'm probably clicking Brandon Cooks here and Quentin Johnston most of the time. But as my wide receiver 4, I'm fine with Tony being my wide receiver 4. And 4 teams advance. So even if Tony is a bad value, I think it makes sense. But he's got to be a bad value, right? He's just not the type of player that commands like 20% plus target share of an offense. And you have Kelsey there. Then after that, Mahomes just spreads the ball. So we'll bring it in here for the Cincinnati KC stack. We have San Fran, Washington. Maybe we bring in a little Houston piece with this game. So far, we're off to a good start, though. McKinnon is number 2 wide receiver, maybe in the red zone. He had a huge role in the red zone last year. Huge role in the red zone. Madison goes off the board finally at 76. I mean, I think it makes sense for this team, but I mean, geez, 2 receivers through 7 rounds in a high-stakes draft? Not for me. Not for me. We get the falling Lawrence going to the Christian Kirk team. I mean, just beautiful. Just beautiful. Curious to see how far Tony falls in this. He doesn't fall that far because if I don't select him here, then he likely gets picked up in this T. Higgins, Joe Burrow team. He goes to 77. So he doesn't fall. I hate him in this range. Trust me. I try to do everything in my power not to click him here, but it made too much sense. It made too much sense. DeAndre Swift at 80. Cam Akers at 81. Whew. Naked Herbert with no bring back in the game. You can just tell, like, I'm glad the wild cards are at least somewhat on the other side of the board. Besides this guy might be a wild card here. The naked Watson 10 picks before ADP. Little scary. Little scary. You have to admit. You have to admit. Oh, God. Trust me. It pains me. It pains me. Let me see my Tony shares. Like, what else do I do there? Do I bring in Quentin Johnston? Like, he's going to have a slow start. That offense is super muddy. Like, that's not an offense that isn't busy. I think he goes a little early, but for his range, when everyone's off the board, sure, I've been mixing him in. But I don't think he goes in the best range, to be honest. Like, I like Brandon Cooks. But I think the Tony pick had to happen. Let's see what the exposure is. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm at 6% Tony. Makes a lot of sense. Especially because a lot of that was when he started at like 90. Let's see what he started BBM at. I'll let everyone know right now where Kadarius Toney started. Where was he? So he started at 79 when BBM opened. And he rose 7 picks. And on the big board, he was going even later. 1-1-4-1 build. You have to think he wanted one of these 3 running backs. He goes Elijah Moore instead. Elijah Moore, sort of risky right now with Hopkins. If Hopkins goes to Cleveland, Elijah Moore likely doesn't pay out this value at this pick. But this range is tough. Let's see what we get. Is that an auto pick? Nope, not an auto pick. Michael Thomas off the board. Rashad Bateman off the board. That's definitely my click in this range. Going 6 picks after ADP. Sure. I don't know if they're in the live stream, so I'm hesitant to auto click and queue up my players. This double elite QB guy, though. Wild card. Go Richardson. Go Sutton. Okay. I don't think this guy will go JMO, to be honest. Only having 3 receivers. One of them's a rookie. I don't really think that's a good play for him, but we'll see what happens. Hopkins isn't going to Cleveland. That's out of the picture. What happened? JMO makes a lot of sense for this roster where I'm super effing balanced. I have the receivers to get me through 6-week suspension. I have my 2 anchor running backs, elite QB, smash pick. I love that game. Detroit, Dallas, week 17. That's what I'm talking about. Target those games that you love. 4 teams advance as well. So yes, it hurts you having 6 games where he doesn't play. And I think this has to be, let's bring in, Seattle is playing Pittsburgh, right? Seattle's playing Pittsburgh and Jacksonville plays, I always forget the Jacksonville game. It's Carolina. It was AJ Dillon. I fucking love that pick. I thought this guy was a wild card. He still might be, but I like the Dillon pick. I'm impressed. I'm Njoku all day over Ingram, but where we have the correlation with ETN, I think we do bring in Ingram. No, I'm not doing it. I bet you thought I was going Richardson here. Not doing it. I could do it, but I went the JMO route here. I'm not always in the perfect situation to select JMO, and I really do think it'll put you at a disadvantage. Like if you think about advancements, if you're not in a good situation to select him, a lot of teams are making the mistake of bringing him in when he's your wide receiver 3. You know what I mean? I don't think that's really the best way to construct your team with a JMO pick. So I think you fit in this roster. I think it makes a lot of sense. Oh, Goff later. It's thin. Going Goff later and what? Getting like Sam Laporta, bringing in JMO and then Gallup or something. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but with Mahomes, I really don't want to go a QB that early. Like, as you can see, if I go Goff, it probably has to be at 122, right? Yeah. Goff would have to go right here at 122. Then I start to fall behind at either running back or wide receiver because I can only pick one here. So if it's not a receiver, it's a running back. So it would have to be. We'll talk about it. We'll see what happens. Amon-Ra team, he's probably selecting Goff here at 130 if he falls. And I expect he would. We see the Burrow team bring in A-Rich. That's a nice pairing. But again, like he gets Burrow 21 picks after. So the draft capital makes a lot more sense for that team to go A-Rich than it does us. Danny Dimes off the board at 106. Dak being paired up with Justin Herbert. He's got Lamb. Do me favors. Pissed yellow for 4 picks, and now he's just catching up everywhere else. He brings in Devon A-Chain with Tua. He's got Waddle and J.K. Dobbins. I like that. I like that a lot because you're sort of going different from the crowd that will pair this game with pass catchers, and instead he's saying Baltimore will score the touchdowns on the ground with Dobbins. I think that is a way to get different. So he goes Goff early. He goes Goff at 111. I think that's a mistake. I know you want your stack, but other teams are going to get him to fall. He's probably thinking I would go Goff here, though. So if he was in the live stream, he would have had a little edge there. He would have had a little edge. We're at 19 likes. If we get to 30 likes, we're going to pop off another draft after this one. 30 likes. Nothing crazy. Keep it reasonable. And we have 6 spots open for that Patreon Founders League. I think the trophy is going to be a WWE belt, and I run a mean redraft league. Njoku at 113. Damn, I love that. To a team that doesn't have a tight end. That's nice. That's nice. Not so nice for us. Our one fallen value so far has been ETN. I think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be that kind of draft here. Let's go, Deggy. Come on, man. We don't got all day. Make your picks. Goes Penny. He has 3 receivers. This dude just paid the rake. 3 receivers. He got 2 QBs. Guy's all messed up. Playing fantasy golf all week. All right. We're going Robinson here. We're going Robinson. And let's see what this team does. I really don't care. I'm between these. This is basically what it's looking like right here. In this range. Like, sure, you could add Jerick McKinnon in there for fun, but I'm probably not going Jerick after having 3 running backs. Realistically, I wouldn't go running back here. It would look something like this. Yeah, it's the first 12, well, first 11 because I have to be in the league. First 11 people, and we have 5 Patreon members. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. Love you lots. He goes Mooney. Where we're taking the bet on Tony to not suck this year and get hurt week 2. I think that's where we bring in Gallup for this Detroit game stack. You hear that, Tony? Don't get hurt week 2. Max pain. Max pain. What did how much for the league? It's going to be a free league, but we're going to have prizes because hell yeah. That's why. I got to find, has anyone ordered a trophy on Trophy Smack? I've heard that their trophies are legit. I need someone to let me know in the chat. C Slave says first time trying the bully tight end strat with Golden earlier. Got CMC at 1 at 5. Olave, then Hurts, London, Ayuk. Oh, I love that start. A lot of my guys. Love that start. Pitts and Kittle in the 6th and 7th. Felt so wrong to do it, but it's unique. Yeah. If you're going to go like double elite tight ends, that's about the range that I wouldn't contemplate it because I know how bad it is for advance rates, but again, it's a $10 draft. It's a single entry. I don't see a real problem with it, dude. I don't see a real problem with it, especially if any of them fell for value. You're done at tight end there. Saves you a roster spot on the back end. Maybe you smashed a pick at running back at the back end. It's never wrong if you have Olave. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. I mean, Derek Carr was serviceable for Devontae Adams. If we look at the year that Adams had, 1,500 yards, and we did see Carr splash. It wasn't last year, but the year before he did splash for 4,800 yards. If he could meet somewhere in between these two numbers, I mean, would it be a miracle? Maybe, but it's just going to depend, right? I think it's going to depend. They might have to throw the ball a lot if their running backs are unhealthy, if Kamara gets a long suspension, if Kendrick Miller's MCL will ever heal. But he does have weapons in New Orleans. He does have weapons, and Juwan Johnson's one of my favorite tight ends right now for a value at 164. I can't stop clicking him. I really can't. C Slave says touche. I just gotta give it to you honest. I gotta give it to you honest. $10 draft, like who cares? You went unique. I think that's cool, man. I think that's cool. Let's see what we got for QBs here. Long Bomb has Rodgers and Russ. Do me favors, just has Tua so far. Goff and Daniel Jones. I like that pairing. Dak and Justin Herbert's a nice pairing. Karuk has Geno. So it starts to get thin now. Like if you just have Geno and even like Russ is off the board, you're probably going 3 QBs at this point. Like you should be going 3 QBs. That's a definite. We're going to save our pick. And I think we can. All right. Sky Moore goes off the board. It's like about time. 16 picks after ADP. Imagine. Oh, imagine. All I have to do is like queue people up and they don't draft them. Is that what was happening? That was crazy. Yeah, no, this is even worse. This is so much worse. If you go Kelsey Andrews as bully tight end strat, is so much draft capital. You're giving up so much at the running back and receiver position. I mean, if Sky Moore fell, Rashee Rice has to fall, right? It's like a rule. I think that's a rule. Oh, God. Irv Smith is going to continue to rise now. That's so funny. That's so funny. Andrews and Fryermuth a really nice pairing. Dude, this guy just went naked Derek Carr. God damn. This guy's gone rogue. He's got 3 receivers. He's gone rogue. I think we bring in Rice here and shit, we're almost done at receiver. I mean, we do have JMO, so we have to think about that. I'm cool with going Rice here and then hope, like, I don't care. Give me one of these 3. I'm fine with that. Do I need a tight end in this range? When's our next pick? 167. I would be cool with one of these. Can draft the board. This would be heartbreaking if you went both rookies, to be honest. Damn. ER7's on it. He goes 8 more likes for another draft after this one. Now it's at 6. Whoa. This is forced. 16 picks, 17 picks before ADP. It's really what you don't want to do. Roshan here with Chicago. I like it. Bigger back, should get on the field pretty early with his just blocking. We'll get him on the field a lot earlier. Khalil Herbert's like what, 5'10"? Can someone double check that? Khalil 5'9". So smaller back. We did see him get injured once. David Montgomery, they sort of started to work him out, and Herbert took on a larger role, and then he got hurt shortly after. So it's an interesting backfield there with Foreman there as well. I'm taking the shot on Rashawn Johnson. Yes, I'll mix in some Khalil Herbert because he does break off for big plays, But when we're thinking about like red zone rule or third down, I think Rashawn Johnson's going to be that guy. At least towards the end of the season, and we have enough touches here to get him there. Definitely a balanced build here. Definitely a balanced build. Oh shit, did it really? And you collected, what's going on, my man? Welcome to the live stream. Says, good evening. Did the Golden tournament open and close already? It opened. It might be full. It was a really small, yeah, it filled. I'll let you know. It wasn't a big tournament. There were 2,700 entrants in that tournament, and we drafted with someone with the name NFL. Pretty sweet tag. Pretty sweet tag, locking up NFL. Good for them. They didn't have a badge too, so it was like a newer account, or they locked it in and just never played. This is probably going to be a 3 tight end build. 3 tight end, 2 QB, 5 running back, maybe 6 running backs and 8 receivers, something like that. We'll sort of see. We'll see who gives us the best chance to pop into the lineup. That's basically what I'm looking at the end of these drafts. Sure, some of these running backs are nice, but tight ends they're going to be on the field. These guys are going to be on the field. So a lot less guessing. Slumdog says, glad I got in the Golden when it opened. Yeah, it wasn't open for long. It was not open for long. It was a single entry $10 tournament. We tried going unique with it. We went, we got the 8 spot and we went Lamb and Pollard. And then we ended up getting like Fields, who fell like 8 picks after ADP. I posted the team on Discord. Now, if I was in the 5 spot, I probably would have tried to go for the AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts. Again, single entry. You need a little bit of luck to get your stacks. And you need not people to go rogue on you, but I do like the unique starts in those single entries. Hill off the board at 159. Interesting. Interesting. You have to think this Russ team wanted Greg Dulcich too, 2 picks after. Has Judy. So 2 correlated. He's got Garrett Wilson. Could definitely bring in like Conklin late for this team, which makes sense. The Odell pick is just so weird. The uncorrelated Odell pick. Is anyone else doing that? Like, who's driving up the Odell price? Yeah, C-Slave just saying the Golden filled super fast. Super fast. Yeah. Post the lineup in the draft grades section on Discord. If you guys aren't already in our Discord, the link is in the description. Just, it's so good. I never used Discord before, and it's basically just our whole community. When we're offline, we're over there. If you have a draft that has, 7 waiting and it's late at night, just post it and you'll fill it. Post it in the Discord and we fill those drafts. It's cool. It's really cool. John Mechie got some positive news. Wide receivers start to really fall off here, in my opinion, after Shaheed and Curtis Samuel. Let's see what happens here. Let's see what happens. This is where champions are made. Shaheed goes off the board. Yeah, if I go Shaheed there, I'm really happy with my team. That being said, like, I'm not letting this guy double tap here. Not that I care about block. I'm not trying to block him. I think this is the best play, to be honest. Honestly, I don't mind double tapping tight end here. I'd be surprised if he doesn't go Knox too. I like where he's at running back. I like where he's at tight end. Yeah, if I'm him, I'm going Knox, to be honest. Yeah, I have no interest in bringing in Staffy here. Kenny Pickett. I don't have any correlation with any of these guys. Arizona. I think we bring in Knox. We have another touchdown upside tight end. And we're happy. Double anchor running back build, elite QB, 3 tight end, strong at receiver, especially when JMO comes back week 7. We're off to a good start. We're off to a good start with our first 101 Dalmatian entry. Already 5.6% full. Payouts $30K to first, $20K to second, $15 to third. Really nice. It's 100 and how many people was the final? Was it 101? No, it was 102. The math didn't equal out for them. They probably did want it at 101, obviously. Tournament name. Staffy goes at 171 to the team that probably didn't need another QB and needed a lot more receivers. Love that. Just keep taking these QBs. We're cool with that. It makes our QB team stronger. Do me favors, brings in Jordan Love here with Jaden Reed. I think that's nice on that turn. Also went Dobbs, so he sort of had that planned out the round before. Does he have any Minnesota stacks? No Minnesota in here, but that's fine. Did we just register for the Dalmatian? Have to be a Patreon member to get the link, to get the little secret, hey, join now. Tajay Spears at 176. I wouldn't bring him on my team because we have Henry, and we're making that bet that Henry has a good year. Now, sure, can he be traded? But I'm not trying to guess trades here. Maybe that's what you need. You need the Tajay Spears and Henry. God damn. Brain's going to explode. Zeke goes off the board at 177. I still, like this ADP's, it's pretty high for me still, in my opinion. Let's see what Do Favors is going to do here. He's got double slap. Damn. We were hoping for the Purdy pick. Interesting. There were a few QBs on the board. He was like QB 5 or QB 6 on the board. Definitely was expecting him to come back to us at 191. Nice pick. Is this the Sam Howell team with Robinson and Dotson? Or is this the single QB team? Because realistically, 4 teams make it. You're giving up, 15 points? You don't expect Sam Howell to make it into the lineup more than once, right? The bye week. I don't expect Sam Howell. Sam Howell also might not start the whole year. So many gross things. This could be our single QB team. We load up at upside at running back. Let's think about it. We'll see what comes back to us. 3 picks. We could go 2 running backs and a receiver, and we can try and make up those points somewhere else. ER7 says, drop a like. We are 3 likes away from popping into another high-stakes Dalmatian draft after this one. And then I'll probably save my last one for a slow, to be honest, right before the tournament fills. I think that's interesting. Get a little more information, just a slight edge there. Little tip for the fellas. Candyman, what's going on, my man? Hope everyone got a chance to fire at the Golden. Didn't go as planned, but I mean, I think that's what happens when you get a $10 single entry, just a bunch of random people join. This dude's got 6 receivers. This guy's got 5. This has been an extremely light room for a high stakes tournament. I will say that. Extremely light for 4 people advancing. I'm pretty sure I could advance this roster with 1 QB. You're going to rely on Mahomes anyways in the playoffs. Oh, man. Sure, Kenny Pickett falling 20 picks is kind of interesting. And now he's gone. I'm between these two. We already have 1 rookie on the team. We don't have any Miami stacks, but I don't think that matters, to be honest. I'll probably go both of them if he's still there. Let's bring in Chase Brown. A little bit of unknown still with Mixon. We have the Cincy Casey correlation. Let's bring in Chase Brown here. So I think if this is a running back, then we definitely need another receiver. I like this pick. We have 2 rookies. You bring in some for sure points with Gus Edwards. There's plenty of upside with Gus Edwards just being a handcuff as well. But he should have a change of pace rule anyways in Baltimore. And if the OC doesn't want Lamar to run the ball as much, they're going to use the running backs more. I like that game as well. Baltimore versus Miami at the end. We're cool with it. Ben says, still can't wrap my head around Jerome Ford going before Chase Brown. Yeah, it's interesting to say the least. It's interesting. This is going to be a 1 QB build. We're going to sacrifice 15 points by not going what? Sam Howell or Jones or Ritter. And 4 teams advance, though. So did I draft better than 9 other teams? I think I did. 8 other teams. 7 other teams. We're the 8th. If this last pick's a receiver, I think we're good. So receivers, we have Chase, Ayuk, Dotson, Tony, JMO. Yeah. So basically we have 6 receivers before the JMO suspension is up week 7. And then 2 people on bye. So we need 1 more receiver. Let's see who comes back to us. This is where we bring in the correlation with Gus Edwards. Right here. Chosen Anderson. All right. Are we running it back? Yeah, let me see. Yeah, we popped over 30 likes. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. If you haven't already, smash the like button. Smash it for good luck. We need the 101 this next time. And yeah, we're going to pop into another one. We're going to review some of these lineups real quick. And we need 1 more receiver here. Paris Campbell goes at 202. I read something that Campbell was getting reps at running back in OTAs. Does that have anything to do with Barkley? Is Eric Gray a good pick right now? I don't know. You ask me. I'll tell you maybe. Braxton Berrios off the board. All going Braxton Berrios, legend. Corey Davis, last pick for the Aaron Rodgers team. So this team ends up with Rodgers and Russell Wilson, super light at QB, in my opinion. But that's where this team that goes double elite QB, this team that went 4 QBs, that helps us, right? That helps us. So this guy's paying the rake anyways, and he selects a shit ton of QBs. That's where I'm more apt to go just Mahomes, because we already have that advantage there. If we can then get a receiver to follow us that we like and they don't piss yellow the whole round, that'd be nice. All right, let me peek this real quick. Let's see. What are we doing here? Active. We need to make our last pick. We're up in 2. Mike Ray, what are you going to do, my man? What are you going to do? He goes 2-2. Okay. I think we just bring in Tim Patrick here. I like McCole Hardman. I don't mind Tim Patrick. I've checked my expos recently. I have super, super low on Tim Patrick, so this will be a nice little boost for him. We could go Houston here with the Derrick Henry correlation. I don't think it's completely necessary. Let's pull this up real quick. All right, so do me favors in the 12 spot. Went Tua, Jordan Love, and Brock Purdy. I love the triple here. I really thought Purdy was going to make it back to us for our second QB. But he could be one of the better values at QB, him and Ritter, in my opinion, at the end of these drafts. It'll depend if the OC lets Ritter run this season. But then he goes Kittle and Gesicki at tight end. Might be a little light in my opinion. I've been going 3 tight ends with Kittle just because he has those games where he's just a blocker. But could it work? Sure. Dobbins, David Montgomery, Antonio Gibson, A-Chain, Bigsby, and Kareem Hunt. I'm fine with the group. I'm not clicking Kareem Hunt right now, but doesn't mean it's wrong. You bring in your 2 rookies. You're hoping that this vet gets a job somewhere and can basically provide just steadiness until those guys can get bigger roles. I think it makes sense. Devontae Adams, Jalen Waddle, Deebo Samuel, DeAndre Hopkins, Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, and Braxton Berrios. Really, really getting that Miami correlation in there with Braxton Berrios. I love it. So a little Miami triple with a Dobbins bring back. Very neat. San Fran, you don't have the Washington, do you? Yeah, you have Gibson. So you have the Washington game with San Fran as well. So we're both in that game, which is funny. Nice little way to correlate it on the back end. I don't think anyone else is a pounder in this draft. So we'll just peek our roster. When Mahomes at 23, we saw other teams picking multiple elite QBs, so it makes our Mahomes team even stronger, which is why we ended up going just 1 QB. Ingram, Johnson, and Knox, I think we're strong at tight end, like really strong. Running backs, double hero running back build, double anchor running back build. We got the San Fran, Washington correlation, Cincy, KC, Detroit, Dallas even. Like, I think we touched on a lot of the games that we like. Even this Denver game, Denver Chargers, is kind of a sneaky game to be paired up on. And that's it. All right, if you guys haven't already, we're waiting on 3 people for this draft. You meant John Ross. 3 people. 3 people. 5.6% full. Just going to try to target, like I said, target those games that you like the most for week 17. I think that's when you look back a month from now and you look at these 3 teams or you look at the one team you did, you don't want to be like, all right, my QBs are 3 late guys, right? In their gross games as well. You know, I just think just target those games you love. Try to get correlation in them and then hope for the game script to check out. Slum says my golden out of the 8 spot Cousins. Goff? Jacobs, Madison, AJ, Brown, Waddle, Lockett, Johnston, Hawk, Laporta, and my stars 2-7-7-2 build. Hawk and Laporta, I think that's fine. And Cousins and Goff might be a little light at QB. But I like the base of the team. I do, yeah, so you do have at least a double with Cousins with Madison in there. I do try to get 2 pass catchers with the pocket passers just because it's going to raise your upside. Like, how does Kirk Cousins spike into the lineup, right? Does he get rushing touchdowns? Like, I think he had 1 or 2 last year. He had 2 last year. Was that in the same game? Does anyone remember? Why do I think that was in the same game? But anyways, how is he most likely going to spike into your lineup? 95, 98% of the time, it's going to be through the air. So I do try to get 2 pass catchers. Madison is a pass catching running back. I just can't with the Madison right now. And he's continuing to rise. I got my shares at the big board when he was at 120, 105, all the way down to like 90. And then I started veering off just because Minnesota moved away from the run last season with the new OC. They were 5th least in rushing attempts. Madison runs like a 4.62 40. Now he's got a little shake and bake to him, and he can be a 3-down back. But if they do start mixing in Ty Chandler or Dwayne McBride, it's not going to be pretty for Madison's value for where he's going in drafts. We get the 2 spot again. Luck. All right, so we got a few more people in this one. Off the Schneid, I recognize from the Twitter machine. H.J. Wigglesworth, absolute throwback. This guy was in every single one of our drafts when it came to the big board. He was in like 22 straight live stream drafts, like a sicko. Paul here. Eric, what's going on, my dude? Nez. All right. This is going to be a fun room. Sharpen your fingers. We get the 2 spot again. Talk about a luck box. And then the game you target just blows up and does bad. If we end up with Jamar Chase again and he just has a bust of a game, even though he is like the Casey killer. But if he's there, we're going him, obviously. Just is what it is. Nez, get the money out. Yeah, he goes JJ. All right, another Chase start. Here we go. We're off to the races. We are off to the races. Goddamn. Hill at 3. I don't love the 3 spot. I don't love the 4 spot either. I'd rather Cup or Hill fall to me at 5. It just has to do with people that come back to you at 22 and 21. Like, I have a feeling Barkley's going to fall in this room. Kelsey goes at 4. So getting CMC at 5 feels really good in my opinion. Because you can still usually bring in like Devonta Smith or T. Higgins at 20. Sometimes Olave falls. Wow. CMC at 6. It's going to be that type of room. You can already tell. Receivers are flying off the board already. Off the Schneid, though. Going Kelsey at 4. Hot take there. Influencer 2 again. Is this BBM? No, this is the Dalmatian 101. The 101 entry. Diggs at 7, AJ Brown at 8. This guy was in the last one. Let me just peek his draft. We'll scout him real quick. Long bomb, right? Was he not? Oh, this is my first. That was my first Dalmatian. Completed Dalmatian 2. Where are you? Do I have to refresh? Yeah. We have to scout him. We have to see his player takes. He went Garrett Wilson, Chubb, Amari Cooper. So he likes the Cleveland game. Let's see what he did. He went Austin Eckler here at 10. He could have gone Garrett Wilson there again at 11. So he's mixing it up this draft, trying to hit a different game, which I don't blame him for. Just have to keep a note, on what guys he's selecting, which ones I can't let go. So Nez goes Garrett Wilson and Nick Chubb this time. Oh, shit. Takes a little card from Long Bombs. Wow. CeeDee Lamb Amon-Ra for Eric. Love that. Absolutely love that. And you really can't get that anymore. Like, you need a Amon-Ra to fall. And it happens. It happens. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. I can't. So blurry on your screen. I do have it upgraded. I do pay for the upgraded StreamYard. So just go to your little cog down below, its settings, and set it to 1080p. It should be a little better. And maybe I'll give you a 1 zoom in. How the 1 zoom in does for you on top of the 1080p. That should be fine. Barkley at 20. Mahomes goes at 21. All right, so it's going to be different from us as well. Let's see what Draft Chief wants to do. Obviously, I'm not opposed to bringing in T. Higgins here. But I'm also not opposed to going Devonta Smith. Jalen Hurts went off the board at 17. I just think you're going to be at a severe disadvantage to teams that get, like, if you want to do that, I know you don't get that many entries, but you can go A.J. Brown here at like 5 or 6 if you get it, and then go Smith. And you do get a fallen Jalen Hurts every now and then. So I just think you're going to be at a disadvantage to those teams. This guy's hurting. He doesn't know what to do. Brings them both down to 30 seconds all the way to zeros. Goes Allen. Okay. We'll bring in Stevenson here. I am worried. I don't know about anyone else. I'm actually kind of worried about Josh Jacobs. We posted his tweet in the Discord the other day, and he's like, I'm not doing this for me. Like, I'm doing this for the people that come after me. It's like, oh, man, like that sounds like a guy that's going to hold out. Now, maybe that's his edge, and he's trying to pull leverage on the team, but that shit's scary. That shit's scary. ER7 says, hello, it's fine. And on my iPhone 2. Was that your burner? ER7 with the burner? Calvin Ridley at 30 with Olave and CMC. Andrews, JT, and Diggs. Not a lot of correlation so far with these teams. T. Higgins, like, is this guy, no matter what, going Joe Burrow in front of us? You have to think so. You have to think so. Amari Cooper here at 32. CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra. Let's see what Eric wants to do. Goes Breece Hall at 33. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Risk, reward. Whoa. Okay. Keenan Allen going to the Eckler team. Starting to see the Chargers stack. Wonder if he reaches for Mike Willie on the way back or instead goes Judy. And then hopes, what, 58 for Herbert? That sounds about right. 5. Happen. Hey, very cool. Second Fantasy, welcome to the live stream. The Flock, Mason. Mason's cool, dude. But we will not be praising any fallen Trey Lance on this channel. Lamar here at 36. So this is a draft where I think Lamar makes a ton of sense. The 3 elite QBs came off the board early. You don't have a falling Josh Allen go at 30 and then you're picking Lamar 2 picks after. Like, how big of a disadvantage is that? Going at 36 and basically a full round difference from the last elite QB. I think that makes a ton of sense. Long Bomb does. He could go. I'm guessing this is going to be a Mike Willie pick. We'll see. It also depends like how many guys you think is enough for a game stack, right? So like there's a certain point where there's too many. In week 17, they're not all going to spike into your lineup. So at what point does it become a disadvantage, right? Now, if that game blows up, Chargers versus Denver, and they put up, 40 points, sure, they can all get there. Or just don't draft a 49ers QB. The thing is, where they're going, one of them is going to be an extreme value. Like, the way I put it is, where would you put Brock Purdy if you knew he was going to play week 15, 16, 17? What QBs do you think Brock Purdy's better than, especially for being on San Fran? And where I would put him is right in front of Russ, in between Goof and Russ. That's that's 60 picks. Now, where would you put Trey Lance if you knew he was going to play week 15, 16, 17? Like, in front of Dak? You know what I mean? So one of them is going to prove to be an extreme value. So I have been sprinkling them in. And it's just going to come down to what your risk level is. Oh, man. All right, we're hitting this game on the back end now. He does let Burrow fall to us. Sure, I could have made the bet that this guy doesn't go QB, but I don't trust anyone, especially in these 3 entry or single entry tournaments. If I know the person and I know they're a really good drafter, I would make the bet that sure, I'll go pick my receiver, but I'd be surprised if he snipes me on both receivers that I want. Yeah, we're good. And we're good. Talk about balanced build. I do like the Minnesota correlation here, though. Let's see what KJ does. KG. You have to go receiver. Like, he'll be so far behind. You don't pick till 72 if this isn't a receiver. Oh! Goes Joe Mixon. Sure. So Mike Williams in this spot, is he the best value? Like, he actually might be after some of these guys come off the board. But in my opinion, you're paying for Mike Williams here for his ridiculous single game ceiling. He has an extremely high single game ceiling where he can break a slate, right? Now, obviously, there's the injury risk, and I mean, every player has that to some extent. Now, Mike Williams might be a little higher, but still, he has an extremely high single game ceiling. And we're getting him 6 picks after ADP, along with Devonta Smith falling 3 picks after ADP. So it brings a little level of uniqueness as well to go with this Joe Burrow chase team. Godwin. I like Godwin, but I think the team's going to limit him. I think he's going to be limited by his QB. Like if you had to set a touchdown over under for Godwin, what would you put it at? Like 5.5, 4.5? You know what I mean? So I think his ceiling is going to be significantly lower, where he will have a higher floor than Mike Williams. Yeah, it's tough. I'd just rather go with the player on the better offense in that exact point. But I do see why people click Godwin. Like if Mike Williams isn't there, I honestly I have Godwin ranked right behind Ayuk. In my head, I need Mike Williams and Ayuk off the board before I can click Godwin. But that's just my personal player take on that exact zone. Chris Godwin, Brandon Ayuk, Alexander Madison here at 54. It's just so rich, man. It's so rich. It's so rich. Justin Fields goes at 58. That feels really good. Let's see what Nez wants to do here. Nez has the Garrett Wilson Chubb start, the Cleveland Jets correlation. Goes Debo and Christian Watson. San Fran's playing Washington. Green Bay's playing. Who's Green Bay playing? Minnesota. Brings in George Kittle here at 59. I like that a lot. I like this range a ton for George Kittle now. He's fallen 9 picks since BBM4's opened, and he's just in such a better range where I've been clicking him a lot more lately. Scroll back here. Pittman off the board at 61. What's that, 6 picks after? Oh, no, he's fallen. Rightfully so, in my opinion. Max Sauce, welcome to the live stream. Alex says, what are your thoughts on Waller this year? I mean, if he's healthy, why can't he finish tight end 3, 4, 5? That's a team that desperately needs like an X receiver. A bunch of mini-me's over there. So if Waller can stay healthy, I think he can be the slant king for the Giants. Max Sauce says, what's good? What's good, fellas? What's good, Pound? Were you able to get Golden Draft in before it snap filled? Yeah, we did. We did. I'm sort of regretting that we didn't slow draft it, though. Like, I don't know why I just didn't slow draft it. I think there is a little bit of edge there to slow drafting, but it is what it is. Like, you get more certainty on players like maybe Josh Jacobs, where we went Zamir White at the end of ours because we had the Indy correlation with Anthony Richardson. And maybe Josh Jacobs holds out. But if you slow draft, you just get days and days and days more of information. And on single entries that fill that fast, like that was the play. That was the play. I was just too excited to jump in. Now, Drew in our Discord got Barkley at 29 or 28, and then another dude in our Discord got Barkley at 28. So does that happen in a slow draft? Most likely not. Now, could you get him later if there's more negative news? Maybe. Maybe. If he holds out, that'd be nuts. But I don't expect him to hold out. Jacobs, I'm a little more worried about. New England, Buffalo, Cincy, KC, Philly, Arizona, Chargers, Denver. It's gross how we know these games. Herbert goes at 68. Probably the best value at the draft so far, but he only has 2 receivers. And it's not correlated, which is fine. He could go Quentin Johnson super easily. That's not someone we're going to target. Kind of fine with going Pierce. Let's put it on this guy. He's an absolute rogue drafter. Let's go get. Let's bring Jordan Addison in. Let's go a little risk reward here. Let's go a little risk reward. He already has 2 running backs, so I think I'd be able to get Pierce pretty easily. If he goes Pierce, I'm not afraid to bring in another wide receiver, though. Got Herbert at 71 time. That's so nice. But it's even nicer in these. This is a 3 max $101 tournament. You can't think that's going to happen too many times. There's only 272 Herbert drafts, like 272 Herbert teams. So he goes Gabe Davis, which I think is a sweet pick, especially for the Josh Allen team. Makes a lot of sense. You need him to be a wide receiver too in this situation where you have a super balanced build. He needs another receiver. Like, I'd be so surprised if this isn't Dotson. Oh my God. Who went Herbert? They're going to be pissed. H.J. Wigglesworth is going to be pissed. We're good at receiver. We can go a little off the map here. We get 8 picks of value on Pierce. Maxaw says, yeah, I went Henry over Jacobs for that reason. Yeah. I don't blame you. I think that's smart right now, where you have to draft around news, right? You have to draft around news because Jacobs could be a potential faller if this continues through the offseason. So when you look at like closing line value and closing line ADPs, if he ends up being a faller and you drafted him, before Henry, who's not really expected to fall, I think that's smart, just sort of predicting, making those small predictions and just drafting around news. Off the Schneid goes Cam Akers here. Trevor Lawrence at 77 to pair with Justin Herbert. I mean, the team needs receivers. 4 picks in a row have to be receivers, and this is not a good range, like 92. You'll be lucky if you end up with Michael Thomas and Sutton. You really can't go JMO in that situation with only having 2 receivers. And then you're in like a wide receiver dead zone. Like you want to go a hurt Juju. I don't know. He'll be lucky if he gets like Michael Thomas to fall to him. That would actually be a nice fit for his team. T-Law been sliding. Yeah, people are just hesitant to draft T-Law unless you have his pass catchers, right? And instead, he brings them in with ETN. People aren't typically doing that, but I'm so curious why off the Schneid. Well, I guess he's got Mahomes. That's really expensive if you go Mahomes and Trevor Lawrence. I'm probably not doing that, so it sort of makes sense. Where else? Who else could have? Where's the Calvin Ridley team at 30? Oh, one pick before. You have to think that this would have been a Trevor Lawrence pick. That's heartbreaking. It hurts even more in these like higher stakes, lower entry tournaments where you just can't rip into another draft, or you can, it gets expensive, but you only have 3 max. It sucks not getting your stacks. In these drafts, I don't know if you guys know, but where 4 people are advancing, 3 out of 8 advance, and then 2 out of 8 advance, you're really going for the best value. So it sort of turns more into a cash game where, yes, in the back of your head, you're playing it like, hey, there's a 102 person tournament at the end of it if I advance all the way through to week 17. So you still have to have that correlation, but the people with the best player takes will typically end up advancing. Now, sure, pods, once you get into like playoffs, like pods are a whole different animal, and it comes down to a little bit of luck what pod you get placed in. But for weeks 1 through 14, the regular season comes down to player takes for these. You're not ultra worried about like, oh, I have to beat out 670,000 teams like BBM. Do me favors bringing in back-to-back running backs here with Swift and James Cook. I think he drafted Swift in the last one. H.J. Wigglesworth gets Zay Flowers to follow him at 92. JMO off the board. See what this guy wants to do. He goes Michael Thomas. I don't draft a ton of Sutton, but he's going in the right range. We have the Chargers game. Chargers, Sutton. I mean, it sort of makes sense. Do I think he's the best value here? Let's bring in Sutton. I don't do it a lot. I think it makes sense in this scenario. And honestly, we'll go one of these tight ends. I was thinking about just double tapping tight end here or going a rich and a tight end. There's a lot of different options you can make here, especially where we're very balanced. I don't think we need to go QB though with Joe Burrow, obviously. Flowers or Bateman. I'm still on the Bateman train. I'm really not worried about him getting a cortisone shot. We have dudes getting cortisone shots at work and they're out for 2 days. And that's like my buddy that gets him in his feet. Crap. Cleveland versus the Jets. What else do we have? Jacksonville versus Carolina. Pittsburgh versus Seattle. So we don't have any correlation here. We brought in Ingram on the last one. Let's go Njoku here. I honestly like Njoku over Ingram this season. I don't know how hot of a take that is, but that's where I'm at. Where does Odell fall in the Ravens receiver mix? God damn. This is just a team that I see still running the ball a whole lot. It's going to be centered around Mark Andrews. And I mean, in the red zone, it's still got to be Mark Andrews, right? Yeah, Odell mixes in there. But his price is just like, look who he goes around. Now you have to put someone there at receiver, but I don't want to need to draft receivers in this range. Like when I'm in this range, give me QB, give me running backs, give me tight ends. I want to have 5 receivers when I'm in this range. That's my typical draft. Now, if I have 4, that's fine, but I better be done at QB or done at tight end or very strong at running back where I'm not drafting another until like the last round, where I can go ahead and just kind of like reach up and get my guys at wide receiver to make sure that my team, I'm still comfortable with it. But Odell, I can't draft him at his price point. I don't know about how you guys feel about it. It looks like he's on track to practice. He's cleared for minicamp, all that. That sounds relatively good. He's on Baltimore. He's playing for Lamar. Like, this is a run-first team. Like, Lamar's never been like a throw the ball 40 times a game type QB. Yes, the new OC, they want to throw the ball more, but Adam says he likes Ingram more, but that's his opinion. And people are going to differ on this. I just think that there are more weapons in Jacksonville with Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, ETN. They got Tank. So, and Kirk, obviously. Now, I still think Ingram's probably gaining targets over Zay Jones, but Njoku, I just think there's a little less competition there. Yeah, it's arguably better offense, but Trevor Lawrence also played his best games against bad defenses last year. We'll see. I expect Cleveland to have a really good offense. I mean, running the ball with Nick Chubb, Mari Cooper, Elijah Moore, DPJ. Like, they should still have a good offense. And Deshaun Watson targets the tight ends. I think I'm pretty split on it. I don't have a super hot take. Like, I'll still take Ingram one way or another. But I do prefer Njoku. This is a beautiful range for running backs. Like, Geno Smith off the board here. Goes to the Tyler Lockett team. This is nice looking team from Eric. Solid draft so far from Eric. Smashing it in the 9 spot. Has the Dallas-Detroit correlation. Brings in Gibbs as well. Has the Elijah Moore, Breece Hall mini. Seattle, I think, plays Pittsburgh, right? So there's another mini right there. Get sniped on Dak. I'm guessing you wanted Dak there at 105. But that's fine. Really nice pivot here by Eric. Really nice pivot. I want running backs. Damian Harris against... Not a huge fan of going 2 running backs on the same side of the ball. Buffalo playing New England. Not on the same side of the ball, but in the same game. And I'm probably going Elijah Mitchell here, double tapping running back here. This guy brings it down to zeros every time. All right. Good job. Good job. He goes Dubes at 120 and then brings in Kincaid. Interesting. I'm going to go Elijah Mitchell here. I just think he has higher upside. I mean, Penny, you can argue, has probably the highest upside of the 3. Philly, Arizona. Let's go Penny. We have Smith. We're already sort of making a bet on Philly here. And they're going to have a top 3 O-line no matter what. San Fran will have another. They'll have a strong O-line as well this season, but give me the mystery box and Penny falls 7 picks. And now we're strong at running back. We have to start thinking about who we want our second QB to be. This is not going to be a 1 QB team like my last draft with Mahomes. Adam says week 17 correlation means nothing to him. Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't have to, especially in like a 102 person field. I don't think it's ridiculously important as long as you're correlating your QBs. You're going to have to hit a ridiculous parlay somewhere along the way that is not going to be a correlated game stack. Now, it raises your chances if you are consistently targeting games. Like if we're targeting this Denver Chargers game, if I'm coin flipping it, like if I'm between going Sutton or another player that I'm honestly going 50-50 each player, like I don't care. Sure, I'll make the coin flip on the side of correlation. I don't think that is a bad way to do it. Alex says, will Jamal Williams and McKinnon have crazy spike weeks again this year? I mean, we saw McKinnon have a really strong role in the red zone for KC. So I think you can expect to see that again this season. And with Jamal Williams, it's tough, right? Like, what did he score? 17 touchdowns last season, but how many times did Amon-Ra St. Brown fall on the 1 yard line? Like, I don't expect that to happen again. He does have the benefit of maybe a Kamara suspension looming and an injury to Kendry Miller, the rookie that they selected over there, still recovering from his MCL injury. My worry is if he played so well, if he was such a big asset for Detroit, he scored 17 touchdowns. Why don't they keep him? So I think he's in the right range. Like I'm mixing in Jamal Williams, but I'd rather take the bet on the rookie for weeks 15, 16, 17, where I think he's going to start to work into a larger role at that time. And that's basically where I'm at with that, with Jamal Williams. Not a pass catcher running back. Elijah Mitchell goes at 134 to Nez. That's beautiful. Have to love that. Have to love that. Has Nick Chubb, David Montgomery, brings in Elijah Mitchell's perfect pick. Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones are his two QBs. Nice little rushing upside for both QBs. Probably I'd be done at tight end if I were him. Kittle and Waller, really nice upside. And those tight ends just provide a ceiling that tight ends in the 160s, 70s plus really can't. Now, we actually did see sneakily a couple spike weeks from Juwan Johnson last year that people don't talk enough about. And that's where I'm at 20-something% plus Juwan Johnson. That's fine. I didn't want Smith. 10 picks before ADP. All set. This guy has 2 QBs and 2 tight ends. He has to be done at QB and tight end, right? But say he wasn't, because clearly, like, I want to bring in the Russell Wilson Dolchich stack here to go along with my Cortland Sutton and my bring back of Mike Williams. Who is he more willing to draft? Like, is it the QB because it's 11 picks after ADP? That's what I'm forced to believe. That's what I'm forced to believe. And we just basically have to hope that he doesn't click random buttons on his computer screen. And we also have another tight end going off the board before Greg Dulcich. But this guy's a wild card. This guy's a wild card. I won't be too mad because we still have the correlation with Sutton. But with the pocket passer, I want the 2 pass catchers to raise the upside. Like, how does Russell Wilson spike in your lineup? He's not going to get... He might sneak in the end zone for 1, but not a rushing QB anymore. 2 pass catches is the best way to raise your upside with Russ. You can mix in a pass catcher running back too. I don't see a huge problem with that. He goes Tyquan Thornton here. I like the pick. I like the pick a lot. I think that's sharp. Really nice. All right. Really nice. Another correlated game. We can bring in some Casey. I mean, MVS goes off the board, 15 picks early. So I'm not going to force correlation. I don't really see a huge benefit in doing that. So maybe we'll go with the wide receiver 1 down here in Ross. Gerald Everett off the board at 149. Schultz falls to 147. And it's his first tight end. That's beautiful for this team. Absolutely beautiful. Now 6 running backs. Like, I don't know what's up with that. I can't speak for that. But I think this team isn't dead, which is crazy. I think the Schultz pick helps this team a ton. Such a weird draft. Do you all play Dynasty? I just got into my first Dynasty league with one of the followers, Stephanie. It's a BestBall Dynasty league. Fitting. Very fitting. Very fitting. But maybe we'll get a Pounders Dynasty league going one of these days. I think that'd be fun. ER7 says drop a like. Yes, please do. If you guys are new to the channel, drop a like, subscribe if you like these high stakes as well as just talking best ball, and join the Discord that's in the description. It's where we're all hanging out offline and where you can jump in some late night drafts with me when I'm not doing the YouTubes. Sean Johnson off the board at 154. I like this team a lot from long. Eric brings in Algier. I think this makes a lot of sense too. Run heaviest team in the NFL last year. And yes, Bijan's going to have most of that workload, but there is room for Algier here. There is room for him to get 8+ carries, 8 to 10 carries a game. Not each game, but there is room for him to work. Bijan's going to eat. I think Algier will also have a nice little role here. And at 153, like this is a really good range for him. I've been clicking him a good amount in this range. Both him, Algier, Devin Singletary. Just because Houston's going to have a good O-line this year. So the Singletary pick, like, it seems pretty easy to me. And Nez goes Singletary. Really liking this running back group from Nez. Going hero running back build. Like the receivers, like the tight ends, like the QBs. It's a good draft from Nez. James Martin asks, well, would you trade Devonta Smith for CJ Stroud, PPR, Superflex rebuild? Ooh. I mean, in a rebuild, I don't think that really matters because they're both young players. Who are your other QBs? I would need to know who your other QBs are. And so this is just a flat out trade, huh? Devonta Smith for CJ Stroud. Yeah. I agree with this take. Smith is so young, so I think that sort of gets rid of some of the benefit of getting a young QB. If you're rebuilding, you typically want to get younger, right? But you're not really getting younger. All these receivers just flying off the board. I'm going to go DPJ here. Pick 167. We need another receiver. I need probably one more. One or two more. We'll see. I'm not dying to bring in any of these running backs. However, I like this guy in between me. He gives me plenty of time to think. It's just really nice of him, you know? Just really nice. He goes Chase Claypool. I'm done at QB. We get Russ 11 picks after. Detroit, we have no Dallas correlation. Not that I really care about that. I think I just go Knox here. I think we just go Knox. If Mims was there, we'd go Mims for the correlation with Denver, but let's see. We might be able to get a late Tim Patrick to fall to us. We're done at tight end. Could we have been done at 2 tight ends? Is anyone comfortable in the chat? Let me know. Say yes or no. Are you comfortable with just Njoku and Dulcich as running with 2 tight ends? To answer Dave's question, yeah, I did 40 drafts or 48 drafts on DK. I was super early. So after the big board filled, I was basically doing DK because I thought the biggest edge was over there. So I was kind of flipping back and forth. Now I stopped on DK because the ADPs are much sharper. But when there was a ADP advantage, I was over there drafting on DK. But I am sticking to mostly Underdog just because they're pumping out these tournaments, and I like these tournaments. Like this 3 entry max $100 tournament. I'd rather do 5 of these than do 100 puppies. I do like drafting, but to a certain extent, I gotta change diapers. Gotta change diapers. Big 3 tight end guy. Big 3 tight end guy. I'm a bigger 3 tight end guy than I am a 3 QB. Like, at least they can both make it into the lineup. So you'll definitely see me do a lot more 3 tight end builds than you will see me do 3 QBs. I think like 75% plus of my builds have a top 6 QB. And the ones that I don't have a top 6 QB, or let's say the teams that I go 3 QB, like I usually go 2 tight end. And when we're talking about, you'll hear other streamers and you'll read just posts on data revolving around advance rates and like roster construction. This is what worked last year. And you'll see like, 2, 6, 8, 2 was one of the better advance rates. Well, main reason for that being is that's the easiest one to balance. And when you start mixing around to different builds, some of them get tougher and tougher. Like a 3-6-6-3 build is viable. It's just extremely tough to balance. So those will give, I think, within reason, most roster constructions work. It just matters where you're spending your draft capital and what your roster construction is. Then obviously on top of that, you're just looking for correlation. And in those bigger tournaments, we're trying to big brain some bringbacks as well. See Sam Howell go here, 16 picks before ADP to the team that has Curtis Samuel. I was liking this dude's draft until that pick. I wonder if he had him queued up and he accidentally selected him there, or he just really wanted Sam Howell as his second QB. Because I'm probably fine with going Desmond Ridder or Sam Howell in his situation, right? So Desmond Ridder goes at 206 typically, 202. And let's see what the team with London has. Because that's my other concern. Like if I have Pitts and I don't have London, I'm looking at the London team. Okay, will Desmond Ridder fall back to me? Well, he has Jalen Hurts and Deshaun Watson, so I friggin' hope so. That doesn't mean it happens, but if they know what they're doing. So a bring back is basically just you're targeting a game, right? So for an example, Battle Royale last year, week 18, we won with Russell Wilson, Jerry Jeudy, and then on the other side of the ball, they're playing the Chargers, and we drafted Keenan Allen. So that would be a bring back. That's what a bring back means. It's a player on the other side of the ball. And you're basically betting on that game to blow up. And if you have multiple pieces in that game, you're making less of a guess, right? Because only one thing only one thing has to go right, is that game has to exceed expectations. Versus if you're making multiple bets on different games and you don't have correlated pass catchers with your QBs, now you need multiple things to go right in different places, and it's much harder to happen. So my last pick will probably be a running back. We have 4 different bye weeks, which I feel really good about. Is there one pass catcher that I want more than the other? Las Vegas is playing Indy. I don't really care for Hunter Renfrow, though. I don't know other people's takes on Hunter Renfrow, but I just sort of see him as a low ceiling type player. I'm going to go Darius Slayton, who just signed a fat contract. I think we go Tim Patrick here, back-to-back drafts. But at least this one's correlated. And then my last pick will be a running back. And we can get funky with that pick. I think we have some nice upside picks in our pocket for our last running back pick. Let's go Tim Patrick here, correlated with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson can be like a QB 15, 16, around that range this year. He'll likely outpay his ADP. He's going as QB 18. And we have the bring back with Mike Williams. Can Russell Wilson win us more money? Probably not. He's probably capped out at that point. Bye weeks matter in best ball? Yes and no. Mostly no, though. Mostly not worried about bye weeks. I 100% agree with this from Alex. As time has passed, especially with the addition of Myers, who plays or can play a similar role, you can put Myers sort of all over the field. Yeah. A lot of people say he plays. You guys are already having the discussion without me. You guys already know. People say that he plays the same role, but you can actually move Myers. And really, Tim Patrick will basically, why he's going so late is the threat of Mims earning the job over him by the end of the season. And I just saw Vegas's over-under for yards for Tim Patrick, and it was set at like 647. They expect him to get 647 yards this year. That's crazy. That's crazy. I would take the under personally if I did bets like that, but I don't. Now we'll still take him here. I think it makes a lot of sense. And this team's I think this team's pretty well balanced. And again, 4 teams move forward. We don't have the KC bring back, which I'm not too worried about. Just everyone reached on KC players. To some extent, you have to be worried about who's the best value. Sky Moore went off the board, 3 picks early here. That would have been a nice spot for us. MVS went off the board like 16 picks early. But I think I'm not too mad with this draft. Here we go. Pauly Chips bringing a little bit of added value to the stream. Says still could produce if he's traded. Where would you want him to be traded to? Yeah. In best ball, every week we accumulate points. Or at the end. It's every week. No, week 18 points don't matter. I'm talking about Battle Royale. We played the Battle Royale tournament for week 18. That's the one we took down. A lot of the running backs here at the end are taken. I do like some of these guys. You can add Joshua Kelly in there, but Eric Gray is interesting with the Saquon Barkley contract news. Zamir White. I don't know if he's in here. If someone already drafted Zamir White, we got a bunch of sharps in here. Yeah. Nez goes Izzy, Zamir White, and Gus Edwards at the end here. Love that. We'll have to check out Nez's team at the end. I like Dwayne McBride. I like Zach Evans as well. Minnesota correlation, Green Bay. Between these two, I have a ton of both. So I don't think it truly matters. Let's go McBride with the Jordan Addison correlation. Flip the coin. And we'll take a peek into some of these teams here. This was a fun one. This was a relatively sharper draft. But again, you could tell there were some casuals and some people that aren't used to drafting high stakes where these wide receivers fly off the board. So we did pivot here and went running back QB. But then we pick 3 receivers in our next 4 rounds. So we catch back up at receiver. And then we catch back up at other places. It's an absolute balancing act. I like the team we drafted. Off the Schneed on the Twitter machine. Mahomes and Love. I'm cool with that pairing. Kelsey and Smith. 10 picks early. I hate you. 18 picks after ADP is always nice. Henry, Akers, Gibson, Herbert, Tank Bigsby. I like this room a lot. I think this works. Kirk, Godwin. Yeah, but his first wide receiver is Kirk. I don't like it. H.J. Wigglesworth, Herbert, and Trevor Lawrence. Law draft capital at QB, but they both fell, which is nice. Ingram, Everett, and Taysom Hill. I'm cool with the 3 pairing. You get Taysom Hill at a nice little value, Evan Ingram at a value. And you reach for the correlation on Everett, which is fine. Barkley, Jacobs, Etienne, Spears, and Zeke. I'm not on Zeke, but around this range of pick 197 when running backs start to fall off, I think it's okay. I would probably just select one of the high value wide RBs, like maybe Pierre Strong Jr., who right now is the handcuff to Ramondre. I'd rather a pick like that. You just need one injury to happen to have a high upside RB. Cup, Ayuk, Flowers, Sky Moore, Mingo. I like this room. Probably a couple too many rookies, though. Like you have 1, 2, 3, 4 rookies out of the 8. I don't know. That's going to be tough in the beginning when they're still working out rules with the offense. I think that team might fall behind, but again, 4 teams advance. Rodgers, Murray, Bryce Young. I like the Murray pick here for the rushing upside. He might not even play this season, but I think it makes sense for this roster to have a chance in the playoffs. Andrews and Ferguson, I think the pairing's good. JT, DeAndre Swift, James Cook, Charbonnet, and P. Ryan, you definitely have enough capital running back here. Diggs, Hopkins, JSN, Mike Evans, KJ, Rashid Shaheed. Yeah, really strong at receiver. Don't love the Renfro pick, but I mean, at this price, yeah, sure, I'll start mixing them in 27 picks after ADP. I think that's great. Eric, I think, smashed this one. Geno, Goff, and Kenny Pickett. Really nice triple here, triple pairing. Firemuth, Michael Mayer, and Noah Fant. Little light at tight end. Breece Hall, Gibbs, Kendra Miller, Tyler Algier, and Chuba Hubbard. This makes sense where you already have 2 rookies. Now we expect Gibbs to have a role pretty quickly into the season. So he's a rookie, but you expect him to have a role. I like this group. Definitely high risk, high reward. CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, Tyler Lockett, Pickens, Brandon Cooks. Yeah, so you have all 3 QBs correlated. Really nice draft. Really nice draft from Eric. And Nez in the 11 spot with A-Rich and Danny Dimes. I like the pairing. 2 rushing QBs. You have the rushing upside. Kittle and Waller. Love that. Love that. I'm going to love this draft. Chubb, Montgomery, Elijah Mitchell, Singletary, Gus Edwards, Israel Banakanda, Zamir White. It's a lot of capital at running back, but let's see what the wide receivers look like. Wilson, Debo, Garrett Wilson, Debo, Christian Watson, Deontay Johnson, Rondell Moore, DJ Chark, and Isaiah Hodgins. I like it. I like the Deontay Johnson pick too because he's more of a floor guy, and you have like high upside Spike Week Watson, Debo, same thing. He can kind of disappear, but I think Deontay Johnson makes a lot of sense with these 2 in front of him. Would I want one more receiver though? I feel like I'd want one more receiver. Like you have a hero running back build around Chubb. You expect Chubb to get into the lineup, 97% of the time, like 16 of the 17 weeks. So you only really need one more running back to do that. I'd say probably the Devin Singletary pick, maybe a receiver in that range, but it all depends who is there and who you thought was going to make the biggest impact on your roster. Really nice draft from Nez. He did Herbert and Lawrence so much better than I did. Yeah, on the live stream. Nez joined our live stream a couple days ago. Go watch that if you haven't already. Absolutely hysterical. We both drafted team. Guys, appreciate you coming out. If you haven't already, smash a like on the way out. You guys are absolutely awesome. Join the Discord if you haven't already, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Pounders.